Hello, welcome viewers. This is Susan Muita with True Living Show, which comes via Sky Cable TV. Today we're continuing on our episode 3 for type 2 diabetes. And today what we'll talk about is taking care of your skin. What I would say is when you're diabetic, and mostly we are covering type 2 diabetes, although even the other type of diabetes, type 1, gestational and pre-diabetic, the skin care should be the same. So we are talking of the same story. So what I would like to tell you is when you're diabetic, we will talk about the whole taking care of your body, and mostly we'll talk about the skin, because what we know, skin is a large portion of your body and it's one of the organs. If you really want to know, if I ask you what is a skin made of, skin is made of 7 layers, but we generally gonna just talk about 3 of them. We'll talk about the epidermis, which is on top, and then we're going to talk about dermis, which is a little inside, and then at the bottom is hypodermis. What we know about, what we'll take about care of, because previously we were talking about diet on episode 2, and diet is what feeds, the skins. The skin, it also feeds all the other organs. So we'll also feed the skin from top ourselves. So we'll just leave the diet to feed from inside out, and then taking care of somebody's skin or somebody who is diabetic, we'll start it from top. Just like the normal way everybody does on their skin. So we'll demonstrate that, and I'll just tell you how it is. When I come to this lady here, I'll call her Miss True Living. So we'll talk about, her skin starts, she has skin all over, just like the way you and me and the diabetic person has it. So her skin starts everywhere, going down. So it's good when you're diabetic. Mostly, when we are talking about how somebody who is diabetic, they don't feel, especially when the diabetes is very bad, their nerves, they are not sensitive. Sometimes you can burn them, and whatever water, hot water or something hot, which whoever does not have diabetes can catch up quickly. The one who is diabetic might not catch up, depending on the stage his or her diabetes is at. But, and that I explained to you last time that it is called neuropathy. That was the first episode we talked about. So that neuropathy is the one which makes, your body doesn't, feel if, you have a cut, or if you're burnt, or you have a pain. It's different from, the ordinary person who is not diabetic. But the biggest part of it, which we'll talk on the next episode, because that's the biggest part of it, is the feet. The feet from the toes coming up. Let's say we'll start from, from your waist going down. Those are the most parts which are mostly affected. And also when you look on your arms, we'll also talk about, from here to here, it's mostly affected. And the reason is, even like normal time, when you don't have issues, the places where you usually feel cold fast are the lower extremities and your fingers, because the blood is circulated on your whole body, like how, you know, the blood is circulated on the whole body, but you know, it passes through the machine here, the heart, you know, everybody's heart. So mostly this part of your body is usually warm because the blood is circulating a lot. But by the time the blood comes here and then it has to go back, that way you might start getting cold. And when you have neuropathy is the disease process of diabetes. Your nerves, they are not working the right way. And because the hormone, insulin, which, you know, carries through the blood system to take the sugar to your cell. When you're diabetic, it doesn't take, you know, it doesn't do the right thing. So you end up, you know, suffering more than the ordinary person. The feet, you know, the toes, you know, they are the ones which are affected more. And then, you know, outer places, but inner places, and mostly as normal life, your body, you are covered with layers. Like if you look at me, I'm covered on layers here, but on the bottom I'm not well covered, on top I'm not well covered, and you know, she's not well covered. So that's why we'll just talk about, you know, how you are supposed to take care of your skin when you're diabetic. First of all, everybody, you know, sometimes it's hard to check on yourself, because if you ask me to check on my back, it will be hard. If you tell me to check on the bottom of my feet, it's hard. But when you're diabetic, try the best. Try even to get, you know, your husband, your wife, your children, somebody, or your caretaker to check on your feet properly, to check on your back, like her, you know, to check whatever she cannot be able to see. So when you're diabetic, so your skin, we said last time, the first episode and the second one, that your skins become, you know, rough. Your skin becomes, it can crack, it becomes bad. So the first thing we'll talk about is how you take care of it. So when you're diabetic, you're supposed to wash your body with tepid water or warm water, not hot and not cold, medium water. That's how, you know, you're supposed to do it. And then you're supposed to use mild soap. Mild soap, if you're using bar soap, that's a good mild soap. It won't, you know, when you use strong soap, it can break you more, make your skin peel, and that's not good. So mild soap. So if you're using liquid soap, this one is good, this one is mild. And then it, like this one has shea and almond oil. Because you dry up, it's good to look for soap which is oil based, because mostly people who are diabetic, even if their skins before were oily, they tend to dry up. And I think that's the way, you know, the cells are. And then on the top of the skin, and we all know that when the dermis is growing up, the skin part of, you know, it grows up. Maybe in 2 weeks it starts from the bottom, and every 2 weeks those cells, they come up, and then they are on top, and then they die, and then they are washed. Then you lose those dead cells. So, and then you have to put strong lotion. Some of, like here I have this, you know, daily moisturizing lotion. It's good. You can put on your skin. And the most dry places, depending, like you know, like when you go to the pharmacy, we have Vaseline. And Vaseline, I love it, especially for diabetic people, because we have all types. So like this one, it says for very, very dry skin, because when you are diabetic, your skin becomes too dry. Then you can also have another different Eucerin here. And this one, you know, they call it Original Healing. It's for extremely dry skin. So you see, they are, when you go to the chemist, when you go to the pharmacy, you find like they have those lotions, you know, oils, creams for just diabetic. There are some places where they just is a shelf of them, so you can choose among that and see what, you know, what works for you. And another one I would never forget to have is the Vaseline. Vaseline is good, especially on your lips, or if you have a dry place to put on. Vaseline is good when you're diabetic, and Vaseline is good for everybody, and everybody knows it's like a universal oil. Another oil you can use for your skin, especially I would advise people who are diabetic, even if you use all these, there are some times of the day or season, like when it's cold time, we can say when it's winter, when it's summer. So you change also your lotion and oils, and the skin also changes with the weather. When it's very cold, sometimes the skin dries up and you become like whitish, creamish. So I advise people to use the baby oil on top of what they have used, because and then apply it on your skin. And what I love about the baby oil, it's because I know it's oily, you look oily, but after a few minutes it's gone, because it was also made for babies. So you can put it on top. Then we have the very strong cream. The very strong cream. This one is good for your feet. Because the feet, you know, you have to take extra care. And feet is where you dry more than any other places because it's more exposed. And I had taken this because this one, even if you are not able to wash yourself, you can go behind like that. Even this lady, she can be able to do it at the back. Scrub it nicely, be clean. And then when you are diabetic, because sometimes you can get some molds, you know, sometimes because of the neuropathy I told you about, you can have even like fungus or a cut and you don't even know. It's good to check the whole of your body, and especially the feet. And the next episode I'll show you how to do a diabetic foot care, because when you're diabetic, you're supposed to do diabetic foot care every day. If necessary, you can even do it twice a day. Don't go more than 2 days before you check your feet, especially if you have that bad diabetes, or you have been diabetic for a long time. Have a habit of doing like that. And then just try to use, you know, keep yourself warm all the time. You can use, you know, cotton socks or woolen socks. And the reason I prefer cotton socks is because you become sweaty. You become sweaty a lot. When you're diabetic, you tend to sweat more. And I know cotton can take better than other materials like nylon or whatever. Cotton is good, and it's good to wash. I prefer, when you're diabetic, try to use bright colors, especially white, because you can wash it properly and you can see when it's dirty, you can remove it. And maybe if you have a cut somewhere and maybe a little, like a dot of blood, when you wear white, you can easily see it. But let's say you are wearing black socks and then you get some drop of blood. Sometimes you might not notice it. You might not know you have a cut. You might not even know whether you had a blister. You might not even know where it came from. And as I told you, when you when you're diabetic, it's hard for a wound to heal, even for a blister to heal. It's not like an ordinary person, and that's why we talked about to always protect ourselves, early, so that we'll never have toes cut, we'll never have big wounds, we'll never have amputations, and that's how it goes. And then at the end, after the diabetic foot care, which we'll do later on our other episode, we'll also have the right types of shoes to wear. When you're home and you're barefoot, it's good to wear socks. You can also have slippers, which are warm. Always, when you're diabetic, keep your feet warm at all times, because that's what it means is when you keep yourself warm, you make the circulation better, because if you become cold, that means your circulation is not good. But when you're warm, the circulation becomes better, and all the other places will be better. If let's say you are is normal, when your feet are warm, mostly even the other part of the body becomes warm. When your feet are cold, they tend to make even the other part of body become cold. So it's always good to keep your feet warm and to keep your circulations going. And it's good also to wear shoes, comfortable shoes. I just chose this one. It's a boot, but if you see inside, it's all like wool inside, so it can warm you up. Try to avoid shoes which like some are like rather straight, or they are like plastic, or some materials which make you cold. We wear shoes which are like that. But when you are diabetic, try to wear warm shoes. Unless it's very, very hot and your feet are very warm, try to keep comfortable shoes, like sneakers. Sneakers are good. You can wear sneakers most of the time. You can also wear, we said, warm shoes. And then you're not supposed to cut your own toenails. You should be cut by a doctor who cuts the toenails. That doctor who cuts the toenails, the name is podiatrist. And if you don't have that one, even your PCP, your primary care doctor, can do it, or somebody who is specialized on that. But if you don't have that, you can do it. But how you do it when you get a nail cutter, you don't cut sharp. You cut like like a box, so that you prevent cutting on the edges. Then you can file your own toenails. So it's good to be cut by a doctor or somebody who is a specialist on that, and so that you can prevent hurting yourself. And make sure you take good care of yourself. You lotion yourself well. If you have to shave, be careful on how you shave. And you take good care of yourself. Even makeup, use the required items to remove. And if I was diabetic, I wouldn't be putting makeup all the time. And if I let me put the right one, or and then remove it and take good care of your skin at the right time properly. And I hope we'll talk more when we do the diabetic foot care on our next part 3. And I would ask you to subscribe. You can also press likes or dislike, and don't forget to watch True Living Show on Sky Cable TV every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern African Time and 12 noon Eastern Time. And God bless you. Thank you. Bye.